Hi there. Let's look at a couple of design improvements that we have been done since last year. By the way, my name is Pedro Silva and I'm the lead UX designer and community manager at Collabora Productivity. So let's start with enabling additional triggers. So we have noticed that depending on the device that that is been using, you might need additional buttons or slightly different approaches on a couple of workflows. Case in point, when using a tablet, in this case, let's say an iPad, user might need, actually really need, to go back to the read mode. Yeah, maybe we start, as you can see on the left, with the read-only mode. The user proceeds editing maybe a couple of adjustments and then wants to go back with one tap to the read-only mode, not only because it gives more space to read, as you can see on the right side, but these little tweaks and adjustments is what we have been trying to do across the board. So in this case, we have a tablet, we have other things planned for mobile, but also within these modes when working on the desktop. I guess I don't have that much time, so I'm trying. Let's speed up a bit. So a couple of improvements were done left and right on drop downs, these pop-ups. For instance, we have here on the left the pop-up that you can see on when using spreadsheets. These things were refined in terms of design, but also in terms of functionality. And while doing that, decreasing the amount of code that that we have, and the code that we generate when you look at the front end side in the browser. There is also mentions. So this is you already all listen about this. We already announced this is joint effort with Nextcloud. A lot of work from and thanks to Rashesh, Raul, Julius, Jan, Shimon. So this is great. Now you are able to mention a user and and this is within the document, but of course we plan to improve and possibly to extend this feature. Then on to all the work we did around references. So we really try to revamp all these references to make it very powerful for either be that students or PhD students, scientists, everyone that depends heavily on citations and citation system. So we have revamped that, and we have a couple of additional features, both visible both on the compact mode and on the tabbed mode. And that I will not talk so much because I think Pranam has a specific talk that you cannot miss related to the references and the integration that we did with Zotero, which means that right now user can access his own Zotero library. No need to have any plugin installed in the browser, no extension, not even any desktop application, and you can just access your own Zotero library. Or, and let's imagine people work in group, they collaborate. So it's amazing that since we are relying on user Zotero's API key, they can, when they try to access one of these features by clicking the button, they will be prompted with this dialog. They can insert their API key, and they can also have access to any shared group library that they might have on Zotero side. But again, don't miss Pranam's talk. On to more dialogues. So you can see that there is pattern here. We have been trying to make it more consistent, converting more dialogues left and right. Again, don't miss another very great talk on this from Shimon. But we also, while doing that, we try to tweak and improve the design. So the example find and replace dialog, we try to make it easier to not only work with it, but fix any alignments, make it simple. And hyperlink dialog, it's another one that we improved. And with that, even behaviors of those dialogues. Like example, you cannot anymore insert ghost links, this kind of empty hyperlinks that it was possible in the past, and other behaviors that now we account for, and we have a fail-safe, a fallback solution for that currently, already merged and already released, of course. Formula bar improvements, yes. So with formula bar being now native, and what I mean by this, so it comes directly from our JavaScript that generates this code, the HTML that you see, and all the behavior, of course. There is a lot of improvements that were needed, again, behavioral, but also design-wise. And not only on desktop view, but also on mobile. So there was a couple of elements being cropped, being outside, on slightly too small mobile devices, or even too big where it would affect alignment. So all these were make it more crispy, more like even the sizes that we use for those icons, but the behavior of expanding, collapsing, make sure that everything is within the user's view. Here we have another example of a great improvement. Yes, and if you're wondering why we have those cute emojis, yeah, this is not fake. This is not a mock-up. No, this is really a screenshot. So if you want to know more about this, don't miss the great talk from Miklos about content controls. And yeah, this is just normal form controls that you can just operate on that. And it, of course, it accepts emoji characters. But again, back to the pattern I was mentioning, we try to improve all these drop downs, make it better aligned, and even we have funny bugs that would only affect users with either with high DPI or even if they don't have high DPI, but they have slightly different browser zoom and would affect these drop downs, these elements. So we fix that and make sure that everything is, again, very crispy, clear, not blurry. And with that in mind, trying to make it everything easier to grasp at first sight. We also trying to increase color contrast and visibility in many areas. So again, calcs drop down is one example, not only the drop down itself, and also the additional states that we have added, be that mouse over click, but the respective model, the respective pop-up that appears when triggered. Yeah, so, and I'm not sure if I have that much time, but dialogues, as you can see, it's a topic, it's a theme that we have been invested a lot of time trying to make everything cohesive, consistent. So with that, thanks for all the hard work from Shimon and Gokai from converting these dialogues left and right. But next up, we couldn't forget that it's not just about converting, but it's also and they look visually consistent, but they need to be meaningful, meaning that they cannot look the same if they do have a different behavior. Yeah, again, before we have these the same dialogues looking the same, but one user could interact with the background and another one user couldn't interact with background. So it was important, and you can access this information in call.la/dialogues. It was important to categorize, to make clear for everyone, part of this discussion and collaborative improvement, what is what, which differences we can have visually, what is a light box and what is a non-light box, and then in our code, even what is a dialogue and what is not a dialogue. Example, we have a lot of non-dialogue components that they might share the same code, they might be generated within the same place, but they actually are these, as you can see, these kind of drop down, these contextual options, and they have slightly different behavior, right? So, for instance, clicking outside should close the widget. And there is other things, for instance, tabbing, going through the elements should be cyclical. So you could very easily going from first option to the last option and not by mistake closing the this contextual menu just because you went very quickly and you press again the key tab. So all these things we have been trying to account for, and what is modular and what is non-modular, right? So, and you can see all these informations there in the forum. I try to make it clear, and it's great that we start slowly but steady getting more of not only converted but consistent visually and in terms of behavior, and user now knows what to expect, what it closes, and when it's possible to interact with background or not. That's it. Thank you for your time. Have a cool days.